What is going on out there, people? All right, today I did an interview with Mr. Charlie Ward and Nicholas Veniamin there, and we had a lot of fun. I haven't did a show with Charlie in a little while, so you could tell we were all in here just being silly and joking and having a good time. So you guys should appreciate the video, I hope. But just a reminder, everybody, real quick. If you're thinking about buying into precious metals, please give our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange a consideration. The link is in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you buy more than $100 worth of precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and get a free half ounce of silver. I don't have Facebook right now, but I do have Twitter still. All right, here you go. You guys come join me over here. The link is in the description. All right, let's get into this video because it was a lot of fun.
Stop the glare.
Nice. That's pretty slick if you wanted to look like you had an instant tan on camera there, huh?
Exactly. It gets darker now because it's the sun's gone down here now. So instead of the sun,
But we got a daylight savings time this Friday, I believe, right?
Yeah, this weekend we changed the clocks.
Mm-hmm.
We put them back this week, so we get an extra week of lockdown. I mean, quarantine.
Yeah, man, you guys over there in the UK, man. The more I see what's going on in Melbourne, the more I see what's going on with the UK. I just don't know how much longer people are going to tolerate this. You guys see my videos on this great reset and the direction that they're trying to take us into. I was surprised to see that Boris Johnson had that Build Back Better, just like Joe Biden did behind him. So it's you can tell who's part of that crowd and who's not.
There's something very interesting that I've just been trying to, because you remember numerology, symbology, and astrology are playing a massive part in what's happening right now. And I was talking to Tom Sidney Bushnell, who we called Tom Numbers earlier, and we were just going through some things, and he was saying to me that there's a lot of significance on the 7th of November. So when he said the 7th of November, I was thinking to myself, 7/11.
Remember. Oh, that's the 5th. Sorry.
It was 9. It's 9/11, isn't it? It was
9/11.
9/11 was the Twin Towers, and because the Americans do it the other way around, it would be 11/9. So it would be, we were talking about reset, revaluation, etc. It would be the accurate turnaround, because the one thing that we've noticed a lot, there's absolutely no mistakes at the moment with Donald Trump. And I was told 2-3 months ago that this election would be nothing like we've ever seen before.
I think we should see the largest one-sided ass whooping we've ever seen in election history in favor of Trump. I don't care what the media is telling us. Just like when Hillary Clinton was running against Trump, you can go out and see the signs on the lawns. I've only seen one Biden sign in Stockton, California. Everywhere else is Trump. I was like, ooh, this is a good sign.
Yeah, and the media are always going to take their side. I've also heard today, and I've been trying to verify that the word on the street is that Biden's about to step down.
That's what I was just about to say. That they filed the federal court has filed a case about Biden in respect to what happened in the 70s when he killed his ex-wife with Jill. So him and Jill were responsible for killing Joe Biden's ex-wife, who was pregnant with his daughter as well, in a car accident. So all this is going to come out about Hunter as well. And I'm thinking that he may step down and Donald Trump will win uncontestedly.
Oh, yeah, Hillary Clinton would contest it.
Yes. I'm sure what you're going to see this mad scramble for the Democrats to make all kinds of excuses to delay the election, which is ironic. Remember, because they're like, oh, Trump's just going to make excuses to delay the election, and now it's going to be them that's going to make
the other way around.
Yeah. Isn't that how things always work out?
Yeah, guys, do you think that Hillary is allowed to go and contest again? Because I think she's failed twice already, no?
Yes.
She could. The thing is she's in the wrong province. She's in Guantanamo Bay, so I don't think that's in the right province, is it?
No. No, I'll just say
Charlie's
no.
having a bubble.
No, I mean, you have to have paperwork filled out. It has to be. I mean, I'm sure there's situations if if a candidate dies or becomes incapacitated, I'm sure there's some exceptions. But it won't matter. It doesn't make a difference what person goes up there. There's no way in how Trump's losing. It's just not going to happen.
And you're not allowed to vote for a clone either, are you?
No.
Oh man, I
This
go
is
back
how
and forth
silly
about
it's
those
got.
things.
This is how
Oh,
silly it's got.
yeah, it definitely has. Hey, Charlie, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit. Are you hearing anything about the dinar? If you don't mind me asking, or we could talk later if you want. But
Well, just before you came on,
Mhm.
I was actually talking to somebody about the dinar, the zim, and the dong, because there is two particular clients that have obscene amounts, and they've come to me to transport them to China, where they're being monetized with the Chinese elders. So I've only just been approached recently to ask if I could assist in that. I said, yeah, I can do that, no problem at all. So I am aware that the Chinese elders are monetizing them. Where and when and by how much, I don't know, because very simply, when they are monetized, before they are monetized, you have to sign an NDA. So you cannot talk about what rate you got. That's something that you can only imagine. Nobody's actually got a clue, because of the simple fact that when it's monetized, it goes straight onto your quantum account. And everybody in the world apparently already has a quantum account if they currently have any form of bank account. So it'll automatically go onto the quantum system. The process of that, all I would be is like a taxi driver. I'll take it there.
Yeah.
Big taxi, but taxi driver.
What's weird is, on my YouTube channel, I cover different subjects, not just one. But I'm noticing that a lot of these are overlapping with one another. And for some reason, everything seems to be pointing to something happening in November. And somewhere around the middle of November, which is kind of weird. I can't quite put my finger on it. But they all seem to be overlapping. And in talking with all my friends, I don't know if you guys had a chat. I think Charlie, me and you talked about those videos I did about this theory that I had, where the direction I think Trump's really heading in. And, there's a lot of truth in the information that I shared that I got from other people, mixed in with some parts that I plugged in myself to kind of get to where we are. But there's definitely something huge happening in the monetary systems right now, or everywhere.
One thing I love about you, Pimpy, is you're the same as me. We take information from lots of different sources and we put it inside ourselves. And you and I have learned what it is to have an accurate moral compass and try and establish. Because everything that I say is not absolutely accurate, and the same with you. We don't mind admitting it. It's our interpretation of what we hear.
Yes.
But at least we've got the bottle to try and interpret it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. And if I'm wrong about something, I have no problems with coming on and telling people, look, I screwed up. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Yeah.
Because we're searching for the truth, and very often we have to do little pokings, if you like, to try and find out the truth. And the easiest way to poke somebody with the truth is to slightly twist the story so they can go, no, it's not like that, it's like this.
that works, that's for sure.
It works a treat, especially if you target it in such a way. And that's the skill set, is making sure that they're aware of what you're saying, so that they contact you and say, Charlie, it's not actually this, it's more like this. I've had that today. Somebody who said to me, because I made a mention that I wondered if the CIP system was linked to the quantum system. And this particular person is working on the quantum system, and they said, it's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that, I was like, that's why I did the little poke, because I knew that person was watching me and listening to me. and they love just phoning up and saying, Charlie, I just wanted to put you right on this. And I don't mind it. I don't mind it one little bit, because what it will do long term is it will establish a clear picture of truth.
Well, that plus it gives you credibility. You know what I mean? Look, I'm not flawless. I mean, you know, again, when I'm talking about something that's my opinion, and I say, look, what I'm going to say is my opinion. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to support it at the moment. But for the most part, I try to leave, you know, links to the information and what I'm reading so others can see it too. You know, I might be wrong in the way I'm interpreting something. You know, again, you know, I know when you first came out with the talk about the quantum financial system, and I said, I don't have any proof that it exists. And then when I was talking to my friend, and he knows, he said, hey, man, I got to tell you that quantum financial system is real. And I was like, oh, are you serious? And I go, I hate to talk about it without no proof, but I trust this guy. You know, he does work. I hate to say this because everybody says this, but I mean, I do have friends that do work in the government. Now, we're geopolitical. They don't talk about money, but he was aware of it. And he said, I don't have any details, but I can tell you it's real. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, my bad. So I came back and made a correction.
I love the quantum.gov website, because you have to have a military mind to even start understanding it. It's so cryptic. But when you have a clear understanding of the way that Trump and his team think, you just smile, because it's been put out there to completely throw any third dimensional brain.
So if you were to explain what the quantum, you know, .gov website means, after having a look at it, how could you explain it to somebody who doesn't really understand it very well?
It's a bit like giving a 1-year-old a Rubik's Cube. It's not going to work. Okay. You've got to open their mind up first and move them away from the third dimension. Move them, guide them into the fifth dimension, which is basically getting them out of the woods, so they can see the light before you start teaching them about the quantum system, because that to them is all gobbledygook right now.
Sorry, Charlie, go ahead.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, but as far as the other parts of this quantum technology, I'm very familiar with, because my background is in healthcare. So I knew in the 90s we talked about it, but I got myself focused more on this security, this type of encryption. And then we kept hearing about what it was going to do for the healthcare industry, which is huge. If people don't understand the future, the huge leaps and bounds we're about to take in the fields of science and medicine because of this system, because it's real time, real data sharing. And you mix that with AI, I mean, this is going to be phenomenal. You're going to see cures for things much quicker, you know, than we've seen in the past. And the way analytics are handled, it's going to be way quicker, and it's going to save, you know, researchers a lot of time. This is big for the healthcare industry, this part of that quantum technology.
It'll be amazing also for the educational system, because once they start using the quantum system for education, you'll have a universal standard worldwide. So instead of what we have right now, where the educational system is very much biased towards the left, infiltrated by the left and by this woke mentality that's destroyed our universities and colleges and destroyed the education. And of course, I feel more sorry for these doctors and nurses who've come out and told the truth about going to med school, and they've basically been lied to the whole way through med school. They paid a fortune for a pack of lies.
Yep. No, you just brought up a point that's very interesting. You said they've been infiltrated in our colleges everywhere. That's what I try to tell people. I go, look, you don't understand, this agenda is way bigger than you know. It isn't just here in the United States. You know, this socialist movement these people have infiltrated all over.
Every country.
Yeah, look, you got Black Lives Matter and Antifa everywhere. Yeah. I mean, seriously, common sense is, you know, over here they told us, well, Black Lives Matter started because, you know, unarmed, innocent black people were being hunted and killed by white cops. I was like, no, because are shooting unarmed black men is what it was. I go, yeah, but they're in the UK. In the UK, they don't carry guns.
Yeah.
So, what is your excuse for there? And
Yeah.
they're all over. They're all part of this agenda. The goal and the role of BLM and Antifa is to destroy businesses and burn it down so the economy stays crushed.
Correct.
Is what it is.
So talking about the elections, Pimpy, because you're over in the States, how does it look to you? Do you think that all the states will, do you think they would all win? Trump will win all states? To you, how is it looking?
Yes, and let me tell you, I told you it's probably I think Ronald Reagan's re-election was the largest one-sided ass whipping. He only lost one state. Here's the thing, and I'm in California. We call this liberal hell. Even there were signs long ago by actions taken by Gavin Newsom that you could tell he started really buttering up the Californians. You know what I mean? And his attitude started to change. I think he was starting to realize that a red wave is actually coming. You don't want to believe the media at all. They keep trying to tell everybody that Biden is really winning in the early elections, plus mail-in voting. And here's what I'll tell you about mail-in voting. See, usually what happens is the Democrats always take a pretty good lead going into election time. And if the Republicans is going to win, it happens during the election. They catch up and they pass the person. If they get lucky, well, we know the elections are rigged, so it doesn't matter. But nonetheless, what happens is we watch early voting. In this case, Trump is actually ahead 51% to 49. This is really, really bad for the Democrats. I mean, really bad. If Trump is ahead on mail-in voting, which is contrary to what they wanted to accomplish, this is, and take in consideration how many of Trump's people that voted for Trump, their votes were thrown away, destroyed, and still he's up 51 to 49%. Early voting got Trump within a very, very easy margin to make up right now. This is nothing like the Democrats thought it was going to be. This is really bad already.
Yeah. You have the hidden Trump voters as well that are going to vote, the silent majority.
They're not silent no more.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen these
rallies.
These rallies, not just the ones that Trump has, but over in Florida, they had like 30,000 vehicles all parked, and most of them were from Venezuela and Cuba, the Latino exit from the Democratic Party. They don't want communism here. These people already are threatening war if Biden wins because they refuse to let this country become a socialist country. So they're already getting ready to arm up right now. There is an increase in gun ownership for Democrats to 309%. So, you take a look at that. You take a look at the boat parade for Trump. You take a look at the Southern California rallies that happen every weekend for Trump, which is unheard of. We're talking about a Beverly Hills and Hollywood. There's Trump rallies there. And I don't know if you guys heard this over there, but there was this huge car rally for Trump. They were all caravanning. The caravan was 30 miles long.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're coming into some amazing times right now. And, you look at Venezuela as a classic case, and he's taken out the drug cartels. He's taken out the cabal there. So the actual local people there are very, very grateful for what he's done there. And people don't realize that he's done the same in Mexico. He's done the same in Colombia. And he's taking out these cartels and the drug cartels and the cabal and the deep state there so that the people can live a life, because South America as a continent should be incredibly wealthy.
Yes.
But it's not. It's been robbed blind.
Yeah, the rise of the populist candidates, once Trump got into office was nice to see. But I'm starting to see, in my opinion, what appears to be some rigged elections where you're seeing these pro-right side candidates winning, and then all of a sudden they come back and go, oh, wait a minute, some magical ballots have now shown up and puts these socialist people in there. So the election in New Zealand, my friend was telling me, looks rigged. There was another election that just happened where the one candidate came out and announced he won, but then the committee came back in and said, no, the socialists leader won and changed it. Now the people are up in arms there. Look at what's happening in Belarus. I mean, I don't think people are going to fall for this. I don't think people want to go in a socialist direction.
They're not.
They really don't.
And Trump will expose them. And this is why Jacinda Ardern got into power, so that Trump could expose exactly what she is and what she's about and what her agenda is.
Yeah.
Because people like that, they're part of the problem.
Yeah, I'm disappointed about Boris Johnson. I don't know why I thought that guy would be the real deal. I'm kind of wishing that Nigel got in there.
Well, yeah, he would have been an awful lot better. With Boris, he's there for a reason. Trump needed him there because he was very easy to control. So he needed him there. Whereas Theresa May was deep state and would say one thing out one side of her mouth and something completely different out the other side. One of the most unreliable, untrustworthy people on the planet. A disgusting human being. But karma's a wonderful thing.
Yes. Absolutely.
What do you think? How do you feel the way mainstream media is going on right now? Do you think they're starting to be cleaned up slightly? But because no, how about the New York Post, where they were censored by Twitter?
Oh, I think what happened was that's probably the worst thing that these social media platforms done. Let me tell you why. First of all, it was shocking that the New York Post even went out and posted this information, considering, what they've been putting Trump through for quite some time. But what that did is it exposed just how corrupt these social media platforms are, and they're doing what they're not supposed to do, which is interfere in elections. Now they're all in. They're just doing it. They blatantly are censoring people. There's a ton of platforms that have been removed, like mine got removed. My profiles, both of them are off right now, just for mentioning the Biden information. So what that does is it now lines, again, I can't help but feel like you can tell there's divine intervention in all this. Because what this does is when Trump wins, make no doubt about it, there's going to be a revisit on Article 230, which protects them from liability. So they're now going to be considered publishers.
Exactly right.
Yep, and you're going to see them have a whole new attitude, is what you're going to see.
Really?
They've taken down my platform. Obviously, they've taken them down on YouTube. They've taken my Facebook down. And I've actually spoken to people at Facebook about it. But I'm not allowed to appeal until after the election.
Yep.
It's a joke.
Yeah. Mine says disabled. People are like, are you gone? I go, I think what's happening is they're just holding us off until after the election. Once again, they're interfering in an election. That's a no-no. And also, when Trump wins, he needs and I have a feeling he's going to grab control of the Senate and the House. I don't care what they say.
Yeah, he
will.
will.
Once he does that, he needs to go after these social media platforms, and then he needs to break up the monopoly that these 6 corporations have on all of our media.
Sure.
Because they don't just control it here in the United States. They also control a huge chunk of overseas where you guys are.
Yeah, there's only 6 people control the entire world's media.
Imagine if we were all sharing information in support of Biden winning the elections. There would be no censorship at all.
No, that was the goal all along. Look, they're all part of the same evil agenda. They really are. They like the status quo. Politicians get rich. Their friends get rich. The rest of us get screwed. They love that. They don't want to rock the boat. And so Trump is a true outsider. I don't know how anybody can call him a puppet, because I still got people calling him a puppet. I was like, how the hell can you call this guy a puppet? When we have never seen in our lifetimes ever so much hatred and targeting of a president like we see against Trump. That's how I knew we had the right guy in office.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, we need to get on to Lee now. Lee Hemington wants us to discuss silver.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's always my favorite subject.
So, guys, I borrowed this bar of lovely silver just to show everyone what a bar looks like, a 5 kilo bar of silver.
Yeah.
Right, and
remind me to give you my address when we get off, so I can take a look at that closely.
Yeah. Right, and that bar in the UK goes about £4,200. Right now, that's 175 ounces.
Yeah.
So if it were to go to around $4,000 per ounce, as it appears on the national debt clock, that would be worth around $700,000. So, Pimpy, is that the true value? Is that what would happen if we were to go back to gold or silver?
Okay, so here's what happened. That's if we go back to the gold standard 100%. Yeah, okay, let me backtrack this a little bit. The debt clock used to on gold and silver reflect the spot market price. That's what it used to do.
Okay.
All of a sudden, Trump gets in office, and shortly after he's in there, it changes, and people are confused. We don't know what it is. Then all of a sudden, we start searching around, and the experts are going, that is the true value of gold and silver if we go 100% back into the gold standard based on the amount of debt and money that's been printed. And I was like, oh, got it. That makes sense now. So if we did go 100% back, that would be what most of us think is the true value we would see. Actually, if we're being honest, we think that's actually low. We don't think the debt that's being reflected on the debt clock is accurate. We think it's anywhere from 3 to 5 times higher than that. And if that's the case, then you would see the 3 to 5 times higher on gold and silver. Now, remember, the Xi talking to Trump, and he said, gold should be at $2,000 to $3,000. Remember, it was Trump that said, how about 100,000?
100,000 per what?
Ounce.
Are you serious?
Gold.
Silver?
That's what he said. Now, I don't know if Trump's joking or not, but it went out there. It's in the ether. You know what I mean? All of us are like, yeah. So, I did a video explaining to people, this guy did a great job of breaking things down, saying that if we do, 31% of the debt that's there, this is where the prices would be. If we did, 52, 54% of supported by gold and silver, this is where the prices would be. And those prices were higher than where we're seeing on the debt clock. Mm-hmm. And that's based on and he's got an analytical background. That's based on what he's saying is, the amount of debt and paper money that's out there, to support it.
I've been very good friends with a gentleman for about 10 years who's been advising the governments around the world on gold and silver. And he advises many, many governments. And he's been waiting for this financial reset for probably 20 years, maybe more. But he's been predicting it coming. And he has said all the way, as long as I've known him, when we get to it, gold and silver have both been artificially suppressed by the government, by the US government. Because to make everything right to start with, they'll have to artificially suppress it. But then once they've got all the reset and the revaluation done, then they will take the pressure off of it and it will find its own level. The one thing he has never ever told me is what that level is. And I would love to know, but he just said, look, the only thing I can tell you is it will go up in value, but by how much he doesn't know. And this guy has studied this for 30, 40 years and knows exactly what's going on in the world's economy. And he's just said, look, it's been artificially suppressed. I've tried as much as I can to twist his arm to say, do you think it will drop by 50%, 100%? And he goes, I don't know, but I know that it's being artificially suppressed. And once this journey is over, it won't go down, it will go up.
Well, you see the BIS moved it from a tier 3 asset to a tier 1. That tells you right there where they're expecting the gold to go.
Yeah.
It's a 100% now counted on its books, even though gold and silver tend to be volatile. That means they're anticipating that there's no volatility with gold. So here's what I think is going to happen. I mean, Trump, technically, we don't have to go into a so-called gold standard. He still can revalue gold and silver in increments. So I think that's what you're going to see happen until he gets all the right pieces in place in the second term for us to go back to the gold standard. Whether he's, you're going to need help from Congress to make this happen. But he still has the right to revalue gold and silver, especially since he could prove that it's been manipulated for a long time. Look at all these cases that are now magically popping up around the world of people being busted for spoofing. So, again, Trump always just seems to be way ahead of the target. So people want to, in my opinion, I said, well, you're probably going to see the first jump would be, gold jumping up to about $5,000 minimum an ounce. You're probably going to see silver somewhere around $700 per ounce. That's probably going to be the first increment, the first jump.
So
We're going to see how it.
You've gone on to silent. There you go.
Yeah.
That's
No,
about
I'm
it.
there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You know.
When somebody calls, it puts me on mute.
Yeah.
So we're on the 21st of November now. Sorry, October.
I was like, wow, how do we do an election, man? I slept through it.
We're on the 21st of October. So when do you feel, after we've gathered all this information in the last 6 months now with the financial stuff, when do you think we should start seeing increments of the silver and gold?
I was expecting something to happen halfway through this month. I mean, there was many reasons why I felt that way. Again, I still think you're going to see some pretty good jumps between now and the end of the year. Don't be surprised if we don't see silver around $35 an ounce and gold somewhere around $2,500 an ounce by the end of this year. But keep in mind, if it does reach that level, that should trigger a revaluation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm anticipating an announcement of revaluation before then.
I see. Yeah, and obviously, would you think it's reasonable to assume that silver and gold would have to revalue first before the currencies go?
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, they go. I was going to say, I don't know how you could do one without the other. See,
right.
If you want to give, if you want to support the currency and give liquidity back to the banks, the gold and silver obviously need to go at the same time the currency reset happens. Yeah. So if not, then gold and silver definitely have to go first and shortly followed by the revaluing of currencies. Yeah, you can't. Gold and silver definitely has to take the lead on this, and this is how you would turn around and give liquidity back to the banks.
Mm-hmm.
Were you going to say something, Charlie?
No, for me, it would happen simultaneously.
Now, another thing I want to say is that a lot of people have asked me, and they're very, they keep asking me this. Should I buy a 5-kilo bar of silver, or should I buy coins, or should I buy small bars? Pimpy and Charlie, what do you advise them? Does it make any difference?
Well, there is a strategy to this. You got to understand that, it just depends on where you think the future holds for us. So what I tell people is, for barterability purposes, in case the doo-doo hits the fan and, we struggle for a little bit, it's always better to be prepared than not. So, you want to stock up on, 1 ounce bars, 1 ounce rounds are usually the best, because if you're just trying to stack just so you can get a lot of precious metals, and the good thing about that, the reason why you want to avoid the bigger bars is because, let's just say something does happen and the value of silver shoots up. Well, only 1 in every 1,000 people are going to be positioned to get this wealth transformation. The problem is, you might not have access to the money that it's worth right away. So if you have this huge bar, and let's say that bar is worth the 700,000 you're talking about, you might struggle trying to find a place to go cash that in at the moment. You know what I mean? Versus if you have a 1 ounce coin that's worth $700, or if you have fractional, like I get these 1 gram fractionals of silver and gold for barterability purposes. I buy these dime size, nickel size, quarter size, 50-cent size silver fractionals. You could buy those. Another thing is to buy what they call, I don't know why they call it this, they call it junk silver. It's not junk silver, it's actually constitutional silver, which is your 90% silver coins. Start buying or stocking up on them. But yeah, you want to have a variety for many reasons. If you have a ton of money, obviously you might not have a lot of storage for a bunch of 1 ounce coins. So maybe you do mix it up. So if you have, several thousands of ounces, you might get a couple bars, a couple of these 25 ounces, these 10 ounces, a couple of these 5 ounces, and then the rest or a big portion in 1 ounce, and then the rest all in, different sizes. You just want to be prepared for the what-if situation. There's going to be this adjustment period if all of a sudden there's a huge change in the value of gold and silver. There's going to be this adjustment where people are going to need to get the money necessary to make the exchanges when the time comes. So, you want to have different sizes.
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense.
How about Judy Shelton? Any news on her with the
No,
Fed?
there's nothing in it. They got to wait until we get into this next session. We have these rhino Republicans that are, they're going to make life hell for her, but she's not going to be able to get past, the House. They know that.
Charlie, you said earlier something. You said you thought of the 7th of November. You said. Do you think that something might happen there in regards to revaluations or anything like that? What are your thoughts?
The one thing that is very, very clear to me when I talk to the people behind the walls of power, they don't give away dates. We know it's happening. And you have to remember, with all seriousness, what's gone before. First of all, John F. Kennedy was killed in '63 in November. The day he was killed is going to be significant this year, of course. You also have to look at 3,500 people died on September the 11th, when there was another time they were going to do the reset and the NESARA and Gesara. And not just 3,500 American people. Nearly 100,000 Muslims were killed as a result thereafter, on a complete lie. So Donald Trump is very much a human being who cares about humanity. It right this time. He's not going to make any mistakes. And he's not going to be telling Charlie, oh, we're doing it on Friday, mate. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Charlie will find out when it's happened.
Again, this is our last chance.
Yeah.
Because every time they make the mistake, they go back, they regroup, they know where they made the mistakes, and they come back more improved.
Correct.
This is the last time. They either get it now or they don't at all.
Like
this is one individual stands between our freedoms and a world controlled by the New World Order.
Correct.
Like Elvis says, it's now or never.
Yes. No, we don't say that no more.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. Actually, somebody said that to me. We were just joking about the other day. He was like, do you think Elvis is still alive? I go, yeah, he's with Tupac and Bruce Lee.
He was on Facebook the other day when the Elvis.
It's probably with JFK Jr.
Elvis Holly.
What was that thing that you made? You made the other day, the Return of the Prince, Pimpy. You made a video about that. What are your thoughts on JFK, and what is the evidence circulating in respect to JFK reappearing again? Is it a theory? Are there facts? Are there evidence that we can go by?
So here's the thing. Whenever I talk about different things all the time, you got these people who watch other YouTubers, obviously, and they go, no, so-and-so or so-and-so said this. And I was like, And then it also kind of brought back the memory of how the whole situation, as we know, between Charlie and Santa blew up. And I was thinking, how did they get so bent out of shape? Well, what I figured out was this profile on Twitter. People believe that person was JFK Jr. So when that person questioned Charlie, that's how it blew up bigger than it should have been. So then again, they started jumping on me about, well, so-and-so said this, JFK Jr. this, and JFK Jr. that. And I said, you know what? I'm stuck between kind of a rock and a hard place because, I've done reports on clones before. I know the technology is there, but I'm trying to tell people, I don't think there's a million different clones running around. That's just my opinion. So I said, fine, you know what? Then let's do the what ifs. So I did part of the video. I was just being facetious is what it was. And the other part was, look, I understand the cloning situation. I do know the story, what happened to JFK Jr. So is it possible? Of course it's possible. There's plenty of reasons to believe that. But what I said was, look, if I'm going to trust anybody, the one person, whether it's naive or not, if Q told me that JFK Jr. was alive, then I'll probably lean more towards believing it's possible. And so I made this argument that Q said, no, he's not alive. And this lady came back and she said, no, you're wrong. And she explained to me in detail how that whole platform works. And then when Q said no, it wasn't to is JFK Jr. alive, because it posed the first question and then the last answer on there that you could see, but there's a bunch of little red numbers on there. She goes, you have to link the number to the post, and that's the response. And underneath it, it said yes. And I was like, oh, wow. Did he take in consideration that, Robert Kennedy did the whole nose touching thing? So the video was this. Let's just play hypothetical. If this is true, if JFK Jr. is alive, he would truly be the prince, returning to take his rightful place at the throne of the round table. Only people around my age know what that means. I try to explain it in the video for younger people that when JFK was in office, they said he was building Camelot. So that's what I was trying to say. Outside of God and outside of Jesus, JFK Jr., if this were true and he showed himself and told the world what was going on, he would, without a doubt, be the one person who could unite everybody.
Sure.
We have to wait and see, don't we?
Well, I heard he was supposed to pop out on the 17th, and I was waiting for that, So, there's part of me saying to people, look, I understand you think the war is over, but then that's when you get caught off guard. So let's meet halfway. Let's compromise. Are these things possible? Of course they're possible. Am I aware of them? Of course I'm aware of them. But until I have undisputable proof that this is what's going on, I'm just going to continue to have my guard up, and we all should. That's why I keep showing people this information on this great reset. You should be aware of what the hell they're trying to do.
There's so much evidence out there about the reset, the revaluation of currency. There's hard evidence. And this is the biggest thing that I've tried to stick to, rather than getting drawn on all the conspiracy theories, is to stick to the hard evidence and just do tons and tons of research. And it didn't take long to find out that the central banks were closed 5 weeks ago. It didn't take much to find out, just talking to people who work in the bank, what's going on behind the scenes. There's tens of thousands of people who work in the banks. And it's very interesting. You just make a phone call to somebody who who works in the bank, and ask them what's happening behind the scenes. And they go, I don't know, there's something going on. And those sort of things, they're very, very constructive without people knowing what's going on. But you have to take all these little bits and do the research to find out the truth, because nobody's going to come out and tell you. The only person that knows if JFK Jr. is alive is probably his wife.
Yeah, and Donald.
Yeah. But he takes his mask off at night. Yeah, that's true.
So, again, that type of announcement, man, just the thought of it. I mean, that's for us here in America, that type of announcement would be really, really super emotional for a lot of people. It really would. That would be huge. But of course, my counter argument to people who continue to try to head down this path and act like everything's done and we're just watching a movie, I keep saying, look, have you guys noticed that the Kennedys are supporting Biden? It would seem to me, if they know that JFK Jr. is alive, why the hell would they throw their weight behind Biden of all people? I don't understand that move. I think we got one Kennedy that supports Trump. The rest all support Biden.
Sure.
Doesn't make sense to me. You would expect or the Kennedy family to support Trump, wouldn't they?
You would expect that, or people. Well, when I say that, people go, "Well, it's all part of the plan." They always fall back on it, which drives me insane. But it's like all these people are clones, and what I say to them is, okay, but if they are clones, let's say they are, why the hell would you have the clone acting in the same bad behavior as the original person? Why wouldn't you have them soften their tone? Help Trump. You know what I mean? Let's make an improvement. Why do you need clones to go out and continue the same bad habits when you can just have the same people doing the same bad habits? It just, that's my argument for why I don't think they're clones. I mean, it's not that I don't think clones exist, or it's not that I don't think it's possible. It's possible, but I'm saying just if you take a step back and you try to be rational about what we're seeing and what's going on, this is why I tell people, look, keep your guard up. That's all I'm saying. If you tell them that, you end up being a bad guy. It's like, well, whatever, you can only say so much.
Well, guys, thanks very much for this evening.
It was very good. Thank you, Charlie, for having us.
Hey, you guys see, gold and silver and cryptos are on a run, right?
Yeah, they are.
Well, gold and silver, not a whole lot, but I mean, like, I was going to bring that up earlier when we were talking, but, gold is now at 1930. Real quick, I'll tell you guys, and silver is above 25.25. But damn, Bitcoin's now 12,761. Ethereum's now at 394. They're running right now. So
Cool.
that's probably on the news of what's going on with PayPal. So I just wanted to share that real quick before we got off.
Nice.
Thanks
What
very
time
much,
skip this?
bud.
Well, thank you,
I
guys.
appreciate it,
Good to
fellas.
see you again, Pimpy.
You too, sir. I appreciate it.
Lots
Nick,
of
as
love.
always,
Cheers, Nick.
See you both. Take care. Take care. Bye bye.
nice tan, Charlie. Nice tan.
Yeah, no,
All right, fellas.